What's up, guys? Ian Sandusky from Lakewood Machine and Tool back here again for Practical Machinist, and we are live from IMTS all week this week. We're here in Chicago. We're going to go check out what's one of the biggest trade shows in North America. We're going to take you to some of my favorite booths. We're going to check out some cool stuff. So hopefully, if you didn't get a chance to come down for this show, you can see some of the cool stuff we got to see. Let's go take a look. So our first stop at IMTS is going to be in the West Building. Let's go check out the Heimer booth. This place is huge and crazy. You're not going to want to miss it. And I'm joined right now with Brent Holden from Heimer.
Hi, Ian.
Now, one of the coolest things I've seen here is this Heimer automation cube behind us. Heimer, obviously you guys are known for tool presetting, heat shrink. Bringing that automation into it right now, this is something I've never seen before. Can you give us a quick rundown on what this is doing?
Yeah, sure, Ian. So what this is actually what we call the shrink and preset automation cube. It's actually very modular. It could be just a shrink cube, could be a presetting cube, could be a balancing cube even. But basically what we're doing is, without any interaction really, we're just putting the tools down. There's a conveyor system that delivers the tool into the cube, and then it will actually do a shrinking automatically with a cobot, moving the tool around from station to station, from the shrinking station to the cooling station, over to the presetting station in this regard, and then back out of the machine. So it
literally, you put in the tools, you tell it what you want it to do, you come back in 20 minutes, half an hour if you have a lot of tools, and they're all done and ready to go.
They're all done, ready to go. So this really helps, especially with some of the skills gaps issues around the world where people don't have enough people, or they're just setting up that many tools, so they want to make it more efficient, where the people who are setting up tools in the tool room be doing other things.
Who do you think would be putting these on the floor first? Because this is a brand new product.
It's a brand new product, yes. It's people who have identified that they're setting 300-400 tools a day, something like that. They're going to want to make that more automated. People are looking for more consistency in their actual production. So in other words, there's very little variables. Shrink fit in general is the most consistent method because there's very little variables. Because someone who's been there 2 weeks or 20 years, they're putting that tool in the same every time. But in this case, it's all automated as well. So there's really very little interaction with the...
Speaking about shrink fit, I do want to go take a look at a tool I saw over there. Do you mind taking a walk with me?
Yeah, no, let's take a look.
Now, of course, we do have this here, but that's not actually what I wanted to show them. If you want a little more on that, you can check out our live from Heimer's booth. Yep. What I did want to take a look at a little bit more in depth real quick was this tooling right here. Brandon, tell me what I'm looking at here, because it looks like it's some kind of screw fit, but I've never seen screw fit that long.
Yeah, this is our dual lock modular system. So with the dual lock, we've made such a rigid connection with our thread here, where you get a multi-point contact, where we can take some very aggressive cutting up to 1.5 inches on the cutter diameter with a modular system. So you can switch the tools in and out based on the application. You can get some deep reach. In the past, if you wanted to do this deep reach based on your part, that'd be a huge piece of carbide.
Super expensive.
Super expensive. So now we can do it with a shorter piece of carbide, but yet not giving up any productivity. And that happens with some dampening effects here. We also have the ability to put safe lock on here, which is going to hold that tool in there so it's not going to come out even with aggressive cutting.
So this thing itself is actually threaded.
That's actually threaded. So that's what's called our safe lock. It could also be done in a solid carbide, but it allows you to, either in a shrink fit chuck, a hydraulic chuck, or even a collet chuck, end up with a fit where there's no way this tool can pull out of the chuck. So that's really a nice feature.
And of course, because this is a cutaway,
yep,
we're going to show that up to you nice and close. Take a look at that. Brant, thank you very much for showing us around. I might be taking this with me.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
So the next spot I want to take you guys to, I use a lot of their tools in my shop. One of the best sets of tap handles I ever got when I first bought my toolbox was from them, and that's Starrett. I know they have some pretty crazy vision systems in there right now, a lot of Industry 4.0 stuff that you probably wouldn't expect if you're used to manual equipment from Starrett, so I want to make sure you guys check this one out. So the next stop on our IMTS tour is Sterren, and I'm joined by my friend Tim. Tim, thanks for joining us today.
Ian, happy to meet you, sir.
Now, I see you guys have some new stuff. I was checking out your booth a little bit earlier here. One of these things that really caught my eye was this wireless data collection system. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So about 18 months ago, we went to market with our new data collection system. And with that, we introduced wireless hand tools that will send data with a push of a button up to 30 feet. You can send this either to an Excel or you can go right to a mobile app, whether it's Android or Apple, right to your back pocket in your phone or tablet.
So what you just did there, just because that was really fast, I'm kind of still shocked that happened. There's no wires here, there's nothing here. That little dial, you just press that button on that part and that pulled that straight into your laptop.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So for inspection on the floor, you could literally have one of these and a spreadsheet. You could be checking parts all day and someone could go at the end without having to manually input anything and check how those parts were running.
Absolutely, and you can see the efficiency that creates and the error from writing down manually, where that will take that out.
And what kind of shops do you see right now putting this kind of thing on the floor?
Medical, aero, defense, anything that's ISO that really needs their SPC for historical data to confirm what they're making is accurate, absolutely.
And I'm sure if you had some kind of ERP system at your shop, you could pull this data straight from this into that.
It will tie into any ERP, MRP system.
Now for a company that, I have Sarah tap handles in my shop, I have edge finders, we use a lot of metrology stuff. This is brand new to me. I see obviously this is a height gauge. What other kind of connections can we use with this system?
Micrometers, indicators obviously, bore gauges, slide calipers.
So we could have
height gauges right behind you.
We could have someone doing QA on the floor, on the fly with this, and have everything input into this right away.
Absolutely.
That's absolutely crazy. Now, if we're going to move over this way a little bit, obviously, we see the classic Sarah granite. You guys still have these if people need them.
Absolutely, yes, sir. Manufactured right in Minnesota.
Right in Minnesota?
Absolutely.
I actually didn't know that. I saw over here, though, besides, our classic stuff, there is some other new stuff. Can we take a look at that?
Absolutely. So we are excited. We are excited to announce all this new product here at IMTS 2022. What we have here, this whole top row, is our indicators, electronic indicators, ranges from 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 2 inches, 4 inch, 50 mil accurate. Even on the 4 inch, you'll still get your 50 millionths accuracy. We also offer the wireless versions that we just saw over there, and non-wired, where you could put an external radio backpack on there to do the same demonstration we just saw on collecting data.
So all this stuff on top of that also connects to that system?
Absolutely.
So this is really, I guess they're calling it Industry 4.0.
100%.
Getting everybody ready for it.
And with that, we're taking a lot of our classic tools, such as a portable thickness gauge that many people in the industry would see would normally have a dial indicator. So we're taking this technology with our wireless indicators and instituting it into our older product as well.
And one thing I saw here, I don't know if this will come off, I've actually never seen one of these before, and this caught my eye. Can you explain what this is? People may know this, but I've never seen it before.
So this is just a snap gauge. What's this used for is a lot of times inspectors walking around the shop have to do their QA, so they'll just keep this right in their back pocket, pull it out. You got a 0 to 1/2 inch range. Yep, that part's to spec. Go ahead and continue machining.
I want one of those in my pockets for the rest of my life.
There you go, sir. Maybe we can work on something.
So what are we looking at right here? This is obviously some kind of wireless connection. What are we looking at?
Yeah, so if you do not have a wireless tool, you have the tool with the external backpack. You would take your remote gateway and repeater and piggyback depending on the distance. You can go 200 feet, another 200 feet, and if you even need to go miles, we have an antenna right here that'll go miles across campus if need be.
So you could put a few of these in your shop and essentially network the whole thing wirelessly.
Absolutely. 20 tools will speak to each one of these gateways.
Amazing. You may have seen the videos we already did with ECI here at the show and some of the shop talk videos we've done previously. But this is a bit of a special situation. I'm joined by my friend Jacob from Skillcraft. You may remember him from, we did a shop tour of your facility in Connecticut.
Yep.
Jacob is a shop owner. How many guys do you have there now?
About 35.
35 guys. We're also joined with Brandon from ECI.
How's it going?
Thank you very much for joining us.
Nice
now,
to have you.
The one thing we were talking about, you and I have had a couple conversations about this, is right now you do have a ERP of sorts.
Yeah, we've got a homegrown system. It's an Access database.
And you were saying that when you first made your own ERP spreadsheet, what happened? You were about 10 years old.
Yeah, I entered all the open jobs into an Excel sheet on probably Windows 95 and went to hit print so we could have it, and the whole thing crashed and wasted a whole morning of my time. So I had to do that again.
So as of now, you're a little bit further ahead than you were then.
Yeah. We've invested quite a bit in developing that system and customizing it to how our shop operates. But at this point, being 35 employees, we're looking to get something that's a little more robust.
And why are you, what kind of robust features are you looking for? What's the appeal to put in a true ERP system?
Yeah, so it's mostly the interconnectivity, right? So everything that we've seen so far at IMTS has been, Internet of Things, the digitalization of manufacturing, and we really feel like the next step for us in our journey on that is an ERP system that really incorporates all the systems that we've developed over the last 15 or 20 years, but into one solution that's interconnected.
And one of the things you did this morning was come by and talk to Brandon.
I did, yeah.
From ECI.
Yep.
What kind of appealed to you about ECI, and what were you shown here that really kind of spoke to you?
There's a lot of different ERP systems. A lot of them are gauged more towards larger, manufacturers or larger, businesses. What we liked about JobBoss Squared and what really attracted us is the fact that they are more for a job shop. They're, you can configure them in a way that kind of supports your business. And they've got all the things that we do with 4 or 5 different programs now, all in one. So we don't have to have all those different programs.
And this may actually be a good question for you, Brandon.
Sure.
When it comes to job shops, like Jacob was saying, a lot of these softwares are really geared towards production. They're geared towards high volume. Jacob, how many parts do you typically do in a run?
1.
How is this system a little bit more geared towards shops like that, where we're dealing with lower quantities and more job shop work?
Yeah, definitely. So environments like that, companies, speed to market, speed to quote, speed to production is everything. So a lot of the companies that we look for are like, hey man, I got a part, I have a drawing, I have a quantity of 1, can you help me? Boom, give me that invoice, get it out the door, on to the next job. That speed to business is everything for shops like theirs, right, in an environment like this. So having software that can accommodate that and facilitate that is going to allow them to move faster versus other software, which is great software, but just not necessarily designed for that type of a quick moving, every day is a new day type of environments.
And I know one thing that you've been trying to look at as well, to piggyback on top of that, is getting a little bit more connected with your machines. That's something you were looking at. Why is that?
I just feel like that's the direction everything's going, and if we can have more data on what's happening on our shop floors, and have the right software in order to analyze that data, right? We can be more effective in our decision making. We can do the things today that are going to get us even further ahead tomorrow.
And how can we pull that data out in order to help a situation like Jacob's?
So data could be extracted and brought into JobBoss Squared through templates. If you have a flat file or kind of basic files that you can export out of any type of a system or even Excel, we can quickly import those right into JobBoss.
And so he can get all the nice graphs that we always see. He can pull that straight off his floor into here and be able to do some data management with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So the key is to get it correct during implementation. And implementation is almost, I think, as important as any software itself. Proper implementation, you're going to be happy down the road. Bad implementation, you're going to be frustrated. So we take great lengths to make sure that the information that the customer really wants to bring in on the front end is done so accurately and the way they need it to kind of operate in the system.
So the next place we're going to stop in at on our tour of IMTS is Sunin. For those of you guys who may not be familiar with them, they make stuff for making super, super accurate holes. We're talking honing, we're talking burnishing, we're talking deep hole drilling. This is really specialized stuff, so I'm excited to show some of you guys who may not have used this kind of stuff before. Tom, thank you very much for having us today.
Very happy to be here.
Now, for those who don't know Sunin, what are we looking at here behind us?
Yeah, so this is the new vertical SV3000 series machine, and as part of our portfolio of honing offerings, We use the honing operation for enlarging the bore very precisely. We improve the geometry, roundness, and straightness of the bore, and in addition we impart a surface texture so that lubrication can be retained in that surface.
So when we're talking honing, for those who don't know, how does that differ from something like reaming?
Sure, so with reaming you end up with torn and folded metal from the reaming tool, and typically the bore is not going to be perfectly round and straight.
Right.
So with the honing operation, we typically would follow a reaming operation to provide that ultra high precision on diameter, on geometry, as well as leave that surface finish.
So when we're talking ultra high precision on that bore diameter, what are we talking here? What kind of tolerance can we get with this kind of machine?
With this tolerance on multiple parts, we can be in the millionths of an inch.
Wow. So, you know, that's super, super tight.
Exactly.
What kind of shops are putting this in, though?
Yeah,
Who needs that?
It's an interesting question here because this machine would serve a multitude of different markets, typically aircraft and aerospace, fuel systems for off-road construction vehicles, even over-the-road trucks, as well as some other diesel automotive applications, light trucks. We'll see this in the medical industry as well. Certainly hydraulic components would utilize a high-precision machine of this type. And with this vertical spindle, we now have access to the spindle for the workpiece holding device, also to be able to remove and replace a honing tool, as well as to locate automation. In today's tight labor market, automation's a real plus.
It's going to help out everybody.
No question. You bet.
So, of course, it's all nice that we can make nice holes. How do we know if they're accurate?
Exactly, and for many years, Sonnen has had a really very rugged and reliable mechanical gauge, and now we've taken gauging to the next level. So we're introducing the PGE 6000, and this gauge not only has the capability to have a mechanical mechanism below for accurate gauging, but now we have digital readout that can be either in imperial or metric units. It can be, as you see here, with this screen, we can also vary the screen because of the customer demand or customer familiarity. But we now have the capability to store and transfer data that will go directly from a gauge measurement onto somebody's statistical process control software. So as an example, we've got a small mechanical gear here, and to place the gear on, you can watch the needle here. We'll be in the green area, and as I rotate the gauge, you can see how accurate we are as a result of the honing operation.
And this is a honed part.
And this is a honed part, correct, yeah. And so again, this is a very versatile gauge that can be used in the quality control department at companies or out on the shop floor.
I was going to say, this looks pretty rugged. I wouldn't mind putting that right beside my actual machine.
Absolutely, it's rugged and capable.
Now, you said this does output to a computer, so I could tie this into my ERP, I could tie this into my QA management system. Parts come off there, go on here, and I have a record of all of them.
Exactly right, yeah. And for any statistical process control, you now have the capability to eliminate errors where somebody may use a gauge and then have to write down something with pen and paper now, or key it in.
Right.
Now you have the reading directly out of the gauge.
And I have to ask, did Sonnen start making really good holes first, or did they start measuring really good holes first?
Well, we needed to show people how accurate we could create the bore finish and diameter, so we had to prove with the gauge.
What started as a marketing tool now turned into a very powerful tool.
It's an essential component, you bet.
Now, what are we looking at here? I see something that looks like a very big drill, but I also see things that I do not recognize at all.
Sure. So about 5 years ago, Sonnen acquired a company that was involved with manufacturing BTA Heller deep hole drilling, skive and roller burnishing, as well as tree panning tools. And when we brought that company into the Sonnen family, we then started our go-to-market strategy similar to honing, where we're vertically integrated. So we now have a 2 meter, 4 meter, 6 meter length deep hole drill, as well as skive and roller burnishing machine. In addition, we manufacture all of the deep hole drill tools that would work on our machine as well as other machines, as well as even on a lathe for deep hole drilling. We also have a full complement of inserts that are coated with various coatings to improve the productive life of the insert. We also have skive and roller burnishing tools that are a complement to the honing operation, so that with skive and roller burnish you get some productivity improvements as well. So with this bore creation capability, we're expanding the family of products that we offer.
So basically, if you need to make a hole of any size, whether we're talking honing at that size or we're talking drilling, I don't even know what size that is. That's enormous. Sun-In is the place to go.
We've got the capability, right, from 2 inch up to 7, 8 inches in diameter.
That was great. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, you bet.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
So the next place I'm going to take you guys is to one of my favorite companies. We're going to go see Blaser. As you know, if you've seen any of my videos, this is the only coolant we've used in my shop for at least the last 20 years. Always nice to come support people who we work with a lot. So let's go meet the guys here at Blaser. And now on our tour of IMTS, I am taking you to my friends at Blaser. If you guys know my videos, you know my shop. This is all I run in my shop. It's all we've run for the last 20 years. I highly recommend them. So I had to come and introduce you. My friend's Carson.
All right.
And Randy.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Thank you very much for joining us today, guys. How's the show treating you so far?
Treating us very well. You know, leads increasing. You know, more and more people out here. I think coolant is getting more and more important, you know, for people, and that's what we're seeing here. So we are very, very satisfied.
Because especially when we're talking machine tools, we're talking about tooling, we're talking about software. I feel like some people overlook the importance of coolant. And as someone who runs a shop, I really can't overstate it. Are you seeing that as well?
Well, I think you're coming to the right place. You know? So I really think people do underestimate the importance of coolant, because coolant really just represents a very, very small fraction of your overall manufacturing cost. You run your shop, you experience it yourself, you know what your costs are, right? So you see that, you know, coolant is really just, you know, really a few percentages of your overall, you know, cost of your car gear.
Absolutely.
So, you know, on the other hand side, it affects everything in your shop. It interacts with your machine, it interacts with your tools, it interacts, last but not least, with the operator, the people, right? So, you know, all the parts are really being touched, literally, by the coolant. And we can use that, you know, to our advantage, what we call the leverage effect, and really work on your machine tool productivity, on your tool life, and all the other elements, and stabilize the process and optimize it. And that's really what we call a liquid tool.
Absolutely. And of course, we're seeing more and more shops switch over to Blaser. Right now, what kind of shops are you seeing investing in Blaser versus other products on the market? Who do you see putting it in their shops right now?
You know, it's really a good mix of small shops that just want something that doesn't break people out and doesn't rust the machine, and they can tap the part without breaking the tap, right? Up to high production, we're looking for every second of that cycle to be taken off, and we can provide the right lubrication to really maximize the benefit of that expensive machine tool they just purchased. So,
absolutely.
So it's a wide variety of industries, from people doing semiconductor work to general machining, to aerospace
type stuff,
you know, satellites and whatever else. So.
And if people are trying to get into Blaser for the first time, maybe they're considering putting one of your products on their floor, what would you recommend as an entry-level Blaser product?
You know what? That is not so easy to answer, and thanks for the question, because it, you know, allows me to really explain a bit of, you know, our process, how it works. Because the first thing we do is we analyze the situation. It's very important to understand how's the machine being run, what are, you know, speeds and feeds, etc. So we really go beyond, because of the leverage effect I just mentioned, and look closely at all of it. Of course, also the coolant management, what do you do, your practices, and so on and so forth. And then, you know, we take that, and of course also your aspirations, your needs and your objectives of improvement, productivity, cost, you know, what is it? You know, health and safety, for example. We look at all of that, and then we recommend the solution that is comprised not only of a product, but it's more general, to your point, or it's more specific, you know, depending on what your machine. Again, it depends. Not every shop is different, right? Look at that, recommend the solution, including services. Then we try it out, which is important, of course. Then you see it firsthand, what we promised. And then hopefully, you know, very hopefully and very likely, we under-promised and over-delivered.
When we're talking about coolant concentration, we're talking about temperature. I believe you guys have a new product on the market right now for that. Can we take a look at that?
Absolutely. I'd love to show you.
So Randy, what are we looking at here? I see some kind of sensor bank. I see some probes. What is this whole thing here?
So this is a solution to fluid management. And it starts with cutting fluids by number one, checking that concentration at the start of the shift, right? To make sure you got the right percentage to leverage the effect of the fluid. Tool life, surface finish, the smell of the fluid, and how many shops out there can't even find the refractometer, right?
A lot. In my shop, I half the time don't even know where it is, so yes. So essentially, when we're talking about machine monitoring, Industry 4.0 here at the show especially, this is essentially machine monitoring for your coolant. So make sure you guys come check out at the next trade show, come check out Blaser. Like I said, it's all I use. Highly recommend taking a look at this system, especially if you want to keep your thumb on the pulse of what's happening in your machines. Thank you very much for visiting with us, guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So of course you guys are going to recognize my next guest, Michael from Flexible at Workholding.
Hey.
Great to see you.
Hey, great to meet you finally in person.
How's the show been going so far?
Oh, it's awesome. It's a whirlwind. It's a little bit overwhelming, honestly.
Are you here to check out anything specific or just kind of taking a look around?
We are trying to educate ourselves right now, see what's out there. Also just meet other people that we know from Instagram and YouTube and just put a face to the names.
Because of course, if you guys haven't seen it, there's a full series on Practical Machinist. Make sure you guys go check it out. What's been really exciting that you have seen here so far? What's really caught your attention?
I am excited about some machine tools that are now simultaneous 5-axis from Brother that were not simultaneous before. It's kind of mind-blowing. It's pretty exciting because I have a Brother Speedio, so it's in my mind for the future.
Absolutely. No, we saw some of those yesterday, and I'm hoping to see a few more, especially dual spindle type stuff right now is what I'm looking at. So I've been checking out a lot of that on my spare time as we've been doing this. But I mean, the show is so big, as you can attest to. If you haven't been here, you could walk for 3 days here and still not see everything.
Absolutely. It's really just a great networking opportunity. We're talking with all the other work-holding companies, seeing if there's ways that we can collaborate in the future. And that's been really positive for us so far.
And pretty soon you guys are going to probably have a booth here yourselves.
Yeah, probably next time in 2 years.
Next time?
Yep,
I'll make sure to come see you guys.
Awesome.
Thank you very much for joining us. So there you have it, guys. Thank you very much for coming to join us on our tour through IMTS 2022. Thank you very much to all the booths that were gracious enough to host us. Thank you to everybody who was involved with the live streams, the crew, the Practical Machinist team. It was fantastic. For me, I am very excited that trade shows are back. I don't really think it can be overstated how useful they can be. You know, whether you're just trying to go get educated on new products in the market, there's something to be said for tangibly getting to pick up tooling or see a machine run, to be able to see the difference, see what's happening there, and also getting out to get to network with people. You know, I might not be ready to buy a certain type of thing right now, but at least going out, making those connections, then if I have an issue or I have something I want to solve, I got somebody I can call, I get to know the companies. You know, it makes a lot of sense to me that way. So for me, very, very excited trade shows are back. I would like to know in the comments below, did you go to IMTS? What did you think of the show? Are you planning to go to more shows next year? If you guys are a company that does exhibits, are you going to be exhibiting more now that the shows are back? Let's hope they stay, I really do. But let me know in the comments below because I would love to know your experiences. In any case, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications below to make sure you never miss a video. Thank you very much for watching, guys. You take care.